If you've ever played any kind of competitive game, you would know that there's always some kind of character or strategy that kind of runs the game, you know? Something always better than others, like how Super Smash Bros. Melee has Fox, Ultimate has Steve, and Pokemon has Calyrex. And yeah, it's kind of the same in Loomian too. Like how Seer Knight and Zulong ran the place back when PvP first came out, or when Tatop and Obsidragon ran it when Hiwa Village came out. And we can't forget about our favorite Mr. 50% Rat during the Rally Ranch and Mastery era, but we can definitely and should forget the Sephirite era, because it never happened. Then we had Wintrix and Tundrelin kind of running things at the end of the UMV part. Then we had Tatab, Pyrelin, and Deladrix kind of running the place before Soulburst came out. And now we have Leshent here in the Soulburst era. You know, he doesn't have the immediate raw power of Tatab, nor the insane amount of bulk Obsidragon has. But in this video, I'm going to go over what kind of led to people deciding that, yeah, Leshent's the best Loomian in the game right now, so stay tuned. Now, Leshent is a plant and dark type Loomian, which gives it 2 4x weaknesses to bug and fire. Now, luckily for Leshent, bug type moves and Loomians themselves aren't very common outside of Deladrix, so that weakness is very manageable, but fire is pretty common as Loomians in coverage, so. And then on top of the ice and toxic weaknesses it does have actual weaknesses, but it does come with a slew of relevant resistances in plant, water, electric, earth, spirit, and mind. And this is a plant type that is not weak to dark, which is notorious for like killing a plant's viability. And it's also a dark type that's immune to light. So it's a pretty darn good typing. Then you take into account its stats, which, well, it has pretty darn good stats too. It has 96 health, 88 melee defense, and 74 range defense, which forms some pretty darn good bulk. A pretty usable attack stat at 103, and a workable energy at 82. But when it first came out in late 2023 at the Haunted Village, nobody really wanted to look at it. And that's mainly for one reason: accessibility. Leshent was a Loomian that could only be found in the wild, and its base form, Holiday Cradle, wasn't even available until the Jolly Festival, which was the event after it was introduced. Not to mention, since it wasn't rallyable, you had to get an immense amount of shards just to bring its stats up to something usable. So not only was it really hard to get a hold of, it was also really expensive to invest into. And on top of all that, people saw its abilities, and yeah, Ambush was the clear winner here, which is its secret ability. So on top of all of that, you had to find its secret ability in the wild, so nobody really used it because it was just so annoying to get a hold of. Leshent was always theoried to be an interesting idea to run, but again, that's all it was, interesting. It was never really seen as worth the trouble to get a hold of. But as time went on, more and more people became interested in it because of its typing and stats. And then when it finally became rallyable, people got the ability to explore it, and oh boy, over the months, people really discovered just how much of a menace this thing was. Now, Leshent, like most Loomians, has 3 abilities, but, like I said earlier, only one was really notable. It has Gloomy, which, I guess you could use it on Fog, but who cares? And then it has Watcher, which is basically Ambush Light, so that's okay. But then you have Ambush, which doubles the power of your moves on anything that switches in, which can be a broken ability given the right moveset. So what was its moveset like?
It's everything you could ever want! 2 great stabs in Timber Thrash and Slapdown or Gnarly Gash. Perfect neutral coverage with Earthquake and Ice Hammer, which just so happens to hit both of its quad weaknesses. A pivot with Fadeaway, and those are just the offensive moves.
You also have Rejuvenate to pair with its great bulk and typing, mass amounts of utility with Provoke, Sap Plant, Hypnotize, and Icicle Trap, and on top of that you have Broad Boost as a setup option if you even want that. With its stats, typing, move pool, and ability, Leshent was seen as a Loomian that could honestly run either offensive or defensive sets and fill pretty much any role you need to fill in a team. A few examples include a very robust defensively oriented Leshent that you use in the rain to help take on physical threats like Tot-Up and Joltooth. You know, with your physical bulk, you're able to take a hit and then restore a lot of the damage thanks to the rain recovery on top of the health amulet, which then lets you come in repeatedly on these threats. And then a similar rain-oriented set, but this time brawny robust, to then take a more offensive approach to dealing with these threats, because you could still take quite a bit of damage, but then you can respond back to their switch-ins with bigger damage with moves like Slapdown. Then a clever brawny clever set to help deal with range attackers like Solber's Dakota eating that Electro Blast for breakfast, and then utilizing options like Rejuvenate to help keep yourself healthy so you can continue to check threats like Valkyrie and Jalusa, because while their moves do hit hard, Leshent has the coverage to threaten both of or all of these, and then take this opportunity later in the fight to keep itself healthy to, you know, continue the loop. And then one final example is a very brawny set utilizing the move Provoke to cause immense pressure with its moves to force in walls like Tundralin, hit them really hard with moves like Timber Thrash, hit them up with the Provoke as they try to heal, because if they take that much damage, a wall's going to want to heal it off. And then, well, now you're forcing the Tundralin's hand, and next time it comes in, it doesn't have that HP it wants. And again, those are just a few examples, because as more time passed with people having access to Leshent, more people were finding out just how flexible and pressuring this Loomian was. And it got to a point where people were becoming increasingly concerned, because how do you deal with a Loomian with this wide of a move pool, great of a typing and stats, on top of the ability Ambush, causing so much damage? People felt like it was becoming unhealthy to deal with, and then it got to the point where even our local baldy Jamie agreed that, yeah, he's probably going to nerf it. And the nerf is going to replace Ambush with the ability Petrifying, which is a change that will actually be coming later today with the Lumunity event. Petrifying is an ability which lowers the range attack of the opposing side when the user enters battle, just like Terrifying lowers the melee attack stat. So this ability makes Leshent even easier to throw on a team, because it can obviously get on the field easier since it's taking less damage. But, of course, it's sacrificing the ability to threaten such large amounts of damage. So now, Leshent users are going to have to make a choice between using Watcher to get that damage bonus, albeit smaller, though still a good amount, and Petrifying for that defensive utility. In my opinion, I think most people are going to lean to the Petrifying because it makes Leshent easier to use, and, well, if you're easier to use, more people will enjoy that. But, you know, let me know your thoughts on Leshent. Will the change let it continue its reign at the top of the meta? Like I said, I think this change is on. I think Leshent is going to be just fine. In fact, I think it's still going to be insanely strong. No doubt in my mind, it's going to remain as the best Loomian in the game. Now, I also want to thank Cotton Stoops here for the thumbnail. I don't know if it is the thumbnail, but hey, I know he submitted it when I asked for something, and well, I'd feel bad not to use it. So yeah, thanks to him, as well as the people who provided me the Leshents here I used in the video. And yeah, that's it for me. Maybe we'll post another video someday in the future, so subscribe for that. Bye.